Happy Monday.
Good morning.
Back again. These Mondays, I was just saying, it's September 1st tomorrow.
That's crazy.
What is happening? Like, that's insane. That means we're like in like the final stretch. I know.
Buy your gifts, it's Christmas.
People were already talking about pumpkin spice lattes and like we're just like, it's crazy to think that we are already in September 1st as of tomorrow. It's crazy.
I know there's moments of like 2020 where I'm like, it's dragging by, but then there's also moments of like, holy cow, it's September. That, yeah, I dropped my kids off at daycare this morning and they're like, oh yeah, September classes start and I'm like, what? Who are you? Where am I?
What is happening? Well, it's interesting too because, September in the health and fitness world is like the new year, right?
Yes.
And what I mean by that is that, summer goes by and now we've had a very strange 2020. I mean, let's be honest. My kids have been home, your kids have been home forever, it seems. So it's not like we've talked about summer in the same context as we talked about summer last year, the year before. But September is that time where people kind of feel energized, ready to get back in it. Some kids are going back into the classroom, but all kids should be starting virtual school of some description. So it's that moment where we say, okay, now is the time to stop mucking about and look after myself again, right? Now that my kids are back into play and stuff like that.
Well, it's just, we all tend to let things slide a little bit in the summer. That, maybe you have a few more beverages than you usually would, or maybe you indulge a little bit more sitting around like the barbecue or like doing something, or you're on the go. And, just indulgence tends to be a little bit of a summer thing. And then we also know that when the holidays come in a few more months, that indulgence tends to happen then. So right now is like that buckle down and get it right time. That we all kind of feel that it's like, okay, get back on track. And especially with COVID, guys, like there's so many people that have, fallen so far off the wagon, they can't even find the wagon anymore. So we're going to give you some ideas today on how to get back to the basics. And it was funny, just before we logged in here, Lindsay had a saying that I'd never heard of before, the don't boil the ocean. Is that what you said?
Yeah. So what I find happens, I mean, this is the same with the real New Year's and then September New Year's, is that we think about all the things, right? And I say all the things, whether it be meal prepping to macros, to fitness, to exercise, to walking, to, all the things. And what happens is we get so overwhelmed by all the things. And so the idea is like, we're trying to boil the ocean. Well, the ocean is massive. So to try to boil that, it's going to be almost impossible. Well, let's be honest, impossible. So let's start with just a cup. Right now, my cup's actually quite big. Christina's is a little bit more reasonable. But boiling water in a cup like that is reasonable, doable, and can happen within a certain amount of time, right? So when I say don't boil the ocean, it's kind of the idea of taking one or two things, putting it in your cup, getting that boil on, and seeing the results from that, and then moving on to something else. And that's a really big one for us.
I always think there's kind of two schools of thoughts when you're starting over or you're refocusing or whatever. The first school of thought, and I find this is where a lot of people go, is they find the thing that they're struggling the most with, the thing that they're totally sucking at, they're completely dropping the ball on, and they try to fix that. So whether it be that you're not working out or you're eating poorly or the sugar monkey's on your back or whatever is happening, or your mindset is in the gutter or wherever you're at, that they try to take that very worst thing and focus on that. And I find that is actually kind of a critical error that most people make, because it's probably the worst thing in your world for a reason. And when you start trying to focus on it and it's really hard and you're not having success and all of that, then usually we throw in the towel, we give up, and we just go back to our old ways. I prefer to actually take the thing in your life that's not quite going well, but it's also not awful. So maybe it's water, for instance. I know in the summer I actually do much better with water. In the winter I don't do quite as well, that it just tends to be, I don't get as thirsty when it's cold. But anyways, so if it's your water, that maybe you're aiming for 60 ounces of water a day and you're only getting 50 or 45 or something like that. If you take that thing that it's not going perfectly, but it's not going great, and you start to improve on that, you're going to see success. And that keeps us motivated to keep going forward. When you see a little bit of success in your plan, then you're like, oh, I'm going to keep going. So if you guys can think back to, for all of those that have had surgery, when you think back to those early months, early weeks of surgery, when it was hard and you were on just liquids for a long time and you were drinking those protein shakes like they were nobody's business, and they were just as gross then as they are now, let's be honest. But that scale was dropping like mad. So you were so motivated because you were seeing success. And success motivates us way more than failure does. So if you can find something that isn't perfect, that you can improve on and work on, but that you can get some successes out of it, that is going to be a huge, huge thing in order to get that water boiling.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny, actually. I just read a quote yesterday that said, if your child was bad and hated math, would you get them a tutor? Or if your child loved and was really good at tennis, would you get them a coach? And oftentimes we automatically go to that negative and think, okay, well, they need a tutor because they're obviously really bad at that. But if they're really great at it and they love it, why wouldn't you get them a tennis coach? Because even in the corporate world, when we were taught about, dealing with people and stuff from a management perspective, it was like you have your A's, your B's, and your C's type people. Your A's are doing amazing. You need to support them a little bit. We often go to the C's to say, well, how can we get them better? How can we get them better? No, they are there. You go to the B's and you say, how can I get them to an A? How can I get them to an A? And that's the same with where we're at when it comes to step by step for success. It really is. I was talking to a client yesterday and she was like, I just can't get rid of these terrible, what are they called for your coffees? That like creamer that has flavor and stuff.
Delight.
Yes. She's like, I've tried. I just can't get it. She's like, I tend to put a lot of creamer in and, I've tried that. I can't get rid of it. And so she was down. And so we had the conversation about, trying the protein drink, like they have the salted caramel and like all these things. And she was just like, I just find it's not that sweet because let's be honest, sugar monkey on your back, everything doesn't feel as sweet. So I said to her, over the course of a month, if you had 2 coffees, again, math is not my strong suit, so remember, I'm not going to go perfect with this, and you put 3 tablespoons of creamer in each coffee every day for a full month. Okay, automatically we think, I got to cut my coffee or I got to cut my creamer and I got to do it right now or it's not going to be a success. If you took that month and took 2 creamer tablespoons and 1 protein tablespoon and put them together, that would still be knocking out 1 tablespoon 4 times a day for a month. Like it's a massive change. And in our head, we don't think it's enough. But if you did that consistently for a month, you would be decreasing.
And then you think the next month, then you can go a little bit further. Honestly, guys, the coffee is the big one. That I was that international delight junkie. Not even joking that was totally me. And Lindsay has seen me pour coffee. It's like this much coffee, this much cream. So I was that person, and it was that much international delight. Like it wasn't like a tablespoon. It was like glug, 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 glug. We're good. And so I have actually gotten off of that because I know that's a tough one that a lot of people struggle with. And that is exactly how I did it. That I started measuring out, and it is embarrassing the amount of creamer that I was putting in. It was more than a quarter of a cup in a coffee. Like it was a lot. And so that's what I did is I just started decreasing it slowly. So I would do, instead of a quarter of a cup, I would do a quarter of a cup minus 1 tablespoon. And then I would take that out. And then, if I needed to add a little bit of stevia to it because it wasn't quite sweet enough, or if I needed to add a little bit of, some sort of milk or something to make it creamy enough, that was fine. But I was using less of the calorie packed, chemical packed, whatever, junk creamer. So slowly over time, I did that. And then eventually I got so that I was drinking just cream and stevia. And then eventually now I drink just almond milk and stevia. And I've actually lessened my amount of stevia too. It doesn't look as creamy. It probably doesn't taste nearly as creamy, but because I did it slowly over time, I really didn't notice the impact as I was going. Like, there'd be the odd day that I'd be like, oh, whoa, that tastes a little different. We need a little something else in there. But for the most part, it happens slowly. And that's how I've done most of the things that I've done in my journey, that I just a little bit less, have a little bit less of that and a little bit more of the good stuff, a little bit less of this and a little bit more of the good stuff. And I find that your body just adjusts much better. I talk to people all the time. I actually did a workshop last week and we talked about bread. And I know lots of people don't eat bread at all, and good for you if you don't. But if you do, and if you're somebody right now who is eating like, white bread, like, the most chemical altered, whatever, to me, it kind of tastes like cake. But if you're eating white bread right now and that's your bread, and you want to get to Ezekiel bread, if you go and you grab, which I think is like the healthiest kind of bread. So if you go and grab a slice of Ezekiel bread right now and try to make a sandwich out of it, you'd be like, oh, no, that's gross. That's awful. I'm not going to eat that. But if you went from regular white bread, and then you went to say 60% whole wheat, and then you went to a full whole wheat, and then you went to like a fiber bread, like something with seeds and stuff in it, maybe a little bit of flax, and then slowly over time, like 5 or 6 steps, you get to Ezekiel bread. By the time you get there, it wouldn't be bad anymore. But if you just make that jump all in one, it's too much. And your body's just not ready for that.
And it's really interesting too, because again, most people just automatically think that they have to change everything, change it all, go right at it. And it's interesting because again, I'm big into all of these studies and I learn a lot of different things. And one of the things they talk about is the boiling the frog. So not just boiling the ocean, this is a new one, right? So if you have a beaker full of boiling water and you try to put a frog in it, and sounds sad for everybody who loves frogs, I'm sorry, put a frog in it, it's automatically gonna jump out of the beaker because it's too hot. But what they found was that if you put cold water in and you put the frog inside and you slowly increase the temperature, by the time it realized it was too hot, it was too late, which again, sad story, I know, but that is how we have to think about how we do things. Slow, steady. And what problematic is with that is that people want to see results right away, which we understand. But I promise you, like I said to my client yesterday, is if she did that with her creamer, we did the math. I grabbed out my calculator and did it. And it was something like 600 to 900 calories just to do a certain thing. Oh yeah, poor frog. Frog, like Donna. Right, it took a ton of extra calories off of her daily, weekly, and monthly plan. And so again, thinking about anything that you're doing right now or trying to do right now, what I want you to look at is trying to scale back all the things, right? And then you're like, but if I don't do that and I don't do, but this is the thing, and this is what I want you to truly understand. If right now you're at about 20% of good, right? Eating well, exercising, whatever it may be. If you got to 30% next week, 50% the week after, and 60% the next month, in that month, you're going to see major changes by only doing a little bit each time. But we automatically think, oh, we have to do all of this to get the results. We don't. And all we happens when we do all of those things or try to do all those things is we get overwhelmed, we stop, we don't do them, we give up, we are just like, screw it, I'm out of here, whatever may happen. Yeah, Alyssa, I know you love that one. But so that's what step-by-step for success is all about. It's taking on the small things, mastering them to the best of your ability, creating the habit, and then moving on. And, we talked a little bit about cardio the other day. Somebody said to me, I can only walk, Lindsay, and I just don't feel like it's enough. And every time I'm going out for a walk, I'm constantly thinking to myself, oh, look at that runner. She's out there burning all those calories. She's doing all those things, Okay, my kids went back to school this last week, and their school is further away this time. So we have to walk to and from, and it's probably about 28 minutes there and 28 minutes back. Not walking too fast because I have kids, because let's be honest, they're not like superstars or anything in terms of speed. I walk there and I walk back, and I put my timer on just so that I could show my client that walking does do things, and it burns something like 600 calories. When I teach a class at all 100%, like I'm not burning anywhere close to that. So don't think that just doing something isn't making a difference. Just doing something means you're not doing something else, and that is a huge thing.
Absolutely. That's the whole, more of the good, less of the not as good. That, if you're out for a walk, you're not rummaging through your refrigerator while you're out walking. If you're out for a walk, you're not laying on the couch. If you're out for a walk, you're not beating yourself up about things. You're out doing something and you're moving forward. So I want you guys to take some time and kind of go back to the basics. So really sit down, and if you're not happy with where you are in your journey, sit down and make yourself a little list of the things that you're doing that are good, like really good, the things that you're mastering right now. So maybe you're amazing with water every day, or maybe your rest is like, oh, you know what? I'm killing it on the sleep thing. That is great. So celebrate the fact that you are sleeping well. Whatever it is that you're doing, if you have one thing that you're doing that's really, really great, make sure you celebrate the good. And then the things that could use some improvement, but you're still doing okay with. And then the things that really need some help, that, again, that wagon is lost. We don't even know where it is right now. And so make yourself a list of all of those things, and then try to keep focusing on the things that are going really well, and commend yourself on those and reward yourself for those every single day. Like, good for you. Like, you got your water in today. That's fantastic. Super proud of you. Awesome. You slept well. That's really, really great. Like, make sure that you're still celebrating those things. Then take one or so of those things in the middle that need a tiny bit of work, and try to move them to the category of, now you're rocking it. Now it's really great that, maybe you meal prep every now and then, but you're not real consistent with it. So you do it sometimes, you know how to do it, but you could definitely use a little more work on it. Okay, let's move that into the awesome category, and then take something out of that category and try to move it into the middle category where you're doing it sometimes, but it's not every day. So maybe that's exercise for you. That maybe, exercise isn't your forte, you're not fantastic at it, but let's try to get out for a walk twice a week. Let's, try to meet a friend. Let's, walk our kids to school instead of driving if it's possible, like something like that. But try to do something just to bring that from the third category into the second. Like Lindsay said, you're trying to, increase those B's to A's, and then we're going to try to increase those C's to B's at the same time. So if you can kind of make room in all of those, you're going to feel so good about it because you're already celebrating the things that you're doing amazing, which is going to make you feel good. Your things that are going okay right now, you're going to try to bring those up a little bit, and then you're going to feel great because you're getting success there. And then even if your last category isn't still fantastic, it's doing better.
Yeah, absolutely. Donna says here, small bites, not swallowing the meal whole. I need to consciously make an effort. Yes, for sure. Absolutely. And again, that's something that you can look at. Barb is saying you make things feel more manageable. And that's the thing, right? We automatically go to this monster, right? And let's be honest. I mean, we hear this all the time. It's so hard,
overwhelming.
It is overwhelming. I always think about food. I always think about these things. I mean, the truth of the matter is, without sugarcoating it, that's what it's about. It is eating. It is thinking well. It is, exercising your body. It's getting the support. It is very much part of your everyday world. That's what we're trying to get to, right? That's the lifestyle part of it. So to try to just kind of break it down into those things. I know in my mindset coaching we do every week within your bariatric transformation, I talked a little bit about negative to positive. Oh, let me get these hands right. Negative to positive, right? And so if you had a negative thought in your head, to go from a negative thought all the way to a positive thought is very, very challenging. But to go from a negative thought to a neutral is a lot more simple. And that's what we're talking about doing with your ABCs as the example that we gave. So to go from a C to an A or a B to a C to an A is hard. Going from a C to a B or a B to an A, you're getting to a place that doesn't feel as monstrous, right? And it's like we always say, if you're not doing anything right now for exercise, asking yourself or saying to yourself, I'm going to go and work out 6 to 7 days a week is just plain not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Trust me, as somebody who lived there once, it's not. And then the other thing, when it comes to exercise specifically, because again, you guys all know exercise has not always been my jam, that just showing up, that start by making the commitment to just show up. You know what? I'm going to show up today. Maybe I don't have the best workout of my life, but I'm going to show up. And to me, that was where I started, that it was like, if I can just show up and make that consistent, then eventually I can take that showing up to, now I'm going to try to work a little harder. Now I'm going to try to work a little harder. Now I show up and I work my ass off every time, which it feels amazing. But if I would have went to from not showing up to I'm going to show up and work like I am right now, it wouldn't have happened. It would have been so overwhelming. It would have been too hard. My body would have hurt too bad. Like all of those things, I would have made all of those excuses and it wouldn't have worked for me. So finding pieces that you can improve just a little bit on. And if you're not sure, then reach out to Lindsay or I and just say, you know what, I'm really struggling right now. These are the things, and then we'll get you to make those lists. Okay, what's something that you're doing that's amazing? Because we always want to focus on something good. I can guarantee you there is not a single person that isn't doing something great in their journey. That every single person, we can find something positive that you're doing. So you find that one thing that you're doing that's positive. And that's one thing that we want to try to celebrate on a regular basis. Maybe you're really great at journaling. Maybe you're good at meditating. Maybe you're good at supporting other people. There's all kinds of pieces. So you have your tribe and you're really strong in that. So there's all kinds of things that you could do that are really great. And then find those small pieces that you can, okay, I'm doing okay at this, but I could still use a little work. I mean, I don't know that I'm ever going to have a day that I could be like, I'm amazing at water every day. I'm not Michelle Shantz. I can't be that great. But I do okay at water every day. And most days I can make my water goal, but I definitely, it would be in my B category most of the time. But to bump it to my A category, probably not super, super tough for me to do. So it would be something that I could definitely do. That wouldn't be, a massive, massive challenge. So that's something that I could get.
Yeah, and just so you know, I just posted in there, Bariatrics Beyond the Honeymoon. That's one of our free groups that we have in Facebook. And we do a daily check-in, right? Every single day we ask about your water, your movement, your drinking, your eating. And your vitamins. I'm like, what was the other one? And again, if you notice, if you look through Christina and mine, we're not always on point every single time. I mean, I think on Saturday I put a thumbs down. I didn't even like believe it. I put a thumbs down.
You totally put a thumbs down and a ha-ha.
Right? So like, it's not about perfection. And we say this over and over and over again. You'll hear me say it all the time, progress, not perfection. But each and every time you try to work towards that, right? And what that looks like for you, and it's funny because when we started deciding to do this, I said to Christine, I'm like, what do we think taking vitamins means? Because I don't actually physically take a vitamin, but I always have a power shot. I do a lot of metabolism boosting power foods. And I'm like, to me, that means I'm doing what I need to do, right? Drinking your water, how much you're doing. Do you give yourself the water symbol if you only hit a certain amount, or do you give yourself the water symbol when you've done everything in your power to get to what you wanted to do? And so it all comes back down to you in that sense as well. So I want you guys, and we want you to really understand that it doesn't have to be perfect to be good. It really doesn't. I think I posted a few weeks ago where it was just like, you're going to show up and it's not even going to be great. It's not even going to be good. It's just going to be like, I made it. I checked that box off. And you don't want it to be that way all the time, of course, but some days that's what it's like, right? When you're not feeling it and you're not, and it's, things are going wrong or you're not feeling great or whatever, when you're there and you show up and you try, whether it be, I had a little bit of good food and I had a lot of bad food, whether it be, I drank a few alcoholic beverages, but then I remember to have a bit of water, right? So it's trying to remember that it doesn't have to be perfect, but also to remember that this is about your lifestyle journey, right? We talk a lot about this. We want you to understand that this is going to be for you over your lifestyle. It's not a quick fix anymore. We're not talking about that diet that's going to shred 30 pounds in 12 days or whatever the stupid thing is. This is about getting you to where you want to be at a regular pace in a regular world where you can balance sustainable and hold on to it for the rest of your life. That's the goal. So step by step is really what it's all about. Christina, we have something new and exciting coming, but we can't talk about it too much yet. But can we give them a tiny bit of an idea of what it is?
Yeah, we can probably tell them something about what it is, but you're going to see details tomorrow pop up in the group. So watch tomorrow. But Lindsay, you can start to spill the beans. So we have a brand new product coming out. And when I say product, it really is a tangible, here's your product with one bit of coaching that goes along with it. Because let's be honest, Christina and I both truly believe that coaching is a major part of it within a group setting. But it is going to be all about getting back to the basics. Because again, we've heard people, whether it's COVID, whether it's summer, whether it's life in general, we have gone to so many different places. And as Christina said, lost the wagon. We don't even know where it is at this point. And so it's basically what we call our toolkit. And it's going to be back to basics for success toolkit. And it's going to include the things that we know can get you back to the basics to get you started back on track or back in play or wherever you want to put those words. And we're going to show you all the details about it tomorrow. So keep an eye on the Beyond the Bariatric the Honeymoon group, as well as here on our business page. You'll hear all about it. But it is going to include some really amazing tools and tricks for you guys to use, as well as you're going to get a monthly coaching by Christina and myself as well to really kind of solidify some of the information that we're doing. And if you think about it the way we talked about it, from like day 1 to day 5 to day 20 to day 30, you're actually going to be getting a 30-day calendar, which is going to break it down for you on what are some of the things we want you to focus on over the next 30 days to really see the information. Yeah, coaching is 10 days a week. But it is, right? Coaching is one of those things that, it's funny. I have people ask me all the time, well, what do you do? How do you do it? I'm like, I have some people I see, once a week. Some people I see once a month. Some people I see every single day. Like, it really depends. But the group coaching allows you, one, to financially be a part of it if you, can't necessarily do the one-on-one, but also because support for us is such a big part of this journey. I mean, our four pillars, are the nutrition, the fitness, support, and the mindset. And it is such a huge part that we always want to incorporate some of that, because we could give you product and never talk to you again, but that's not who we are, nor do we know that's not how it works, because what do you do? That doesn't work. We know it just goes into a folder somewhere, or maybe you print it and you have a pile on the side of your desk that, you just put things in that. That doesn't work. You definitely need the support side of things in order to make sure that you're implementing them into your life. That's really, really important. We don't ever want to sell anybody a product that they're not going to use, because then it's not going to work. And let's be honest, then we're not going to have a business. So we want this to work for you. And so we've gone back to what are the very basic things that are going to, be needed to get you back on track or back, into the game, to help you find that wagon again. And to get it rolling, that we want to make it sustainable is the other thing. So hopefully we can show you this back on track kit, and this back on track toolbox, as we called it, and that you can just keep the toolbox forever. Because let's be honest, there's going to be times, I'm almost 5 years into my journey, and there's lots of times where, I find myself sliding backwards a little bit. Okay, let's pull out my toolkit again. Here we go. Let's, figure out what I need to do. Let's, grab the pieces and put them back into play, because you can be fantastic for a little while and things are going great, but then something happens in life and you need to figure out how to get back on track. And getting back is not grabbing a box of protein shakes and drinking those all the time. It's not doing some crash diet, because that's not sustainable. So we want to try to teach you these pieces that hopefully will be sustainable. But if something isn't if something isn't sustainable for you, then you need to find a different option. So the toolkit has lots of options in it. And Lindsay and I often talk about a lot of our programs as being like a buffet, which is kind of funny for bariatric people. But we like to provide lots of options so that you can pick and choose the pieces that work. So of course there's going to be fitness, of course there's going to be mindset, of course there's going to be nutrition, and of course there's going to be support. And you're going to pick and choose the pieces that you feel like you need the most right now.
Yeah, so if you go back to kind of what we were saying about your A, B's, and C's, the toolkit will then allow you to say, okay, I want to work on my B, which is my nutrition. I'm going to work on it from getting from B to A. Where are the pieces in my toolkit to find it? And the nice thing about that is that it's yours forever, so you will constantly be able to do it. You also get into the coaching as well, and so we will tell you kind of this is what we would think and it works, and this is how you should do it. But everybody's so different, right? I mean, Donna is working on not swallowing her meal whole. Alyssa's working on, her coffee. Christine might be working on just baby steps to exercise, right? Everybody has different places to be because their ABCs are going to be different. But as you work through the toolkit, you're going to be in a place where you're like, okay, this is where I want to start. And somebody else is going to be like, this is where I want to start. So we're excited for it. As I say, wait for tomorrow. We have all the information. We'll explain it a lot more in detail when it comes out tomorrow. But yeah, so super pumped, because we've been talking about doing this toolkit for I don't even know how long, forever. And so now it's finally coming. It's finally coming towards you guys. So we'll get it ready for you. And then if you guys are interested, you can always take a look at all the details.
All right. And for now, what we want you to do from today, your takeaway, you can do it by yourself. You can reach out to us if you want to, but go ahead and make those lists, your A, B's, and C's, and figure out where you need to focus, and what you need to do to get yourself back in the game, and really do it. But don't just say it. If you aren't exactly where you need to be today, then go ahead, make that list, divide your paper into columns, whatever you need to do. Sometimes the visual of doing that makes it really helpful. So get yourself back into those baby steps. And get started. That don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for next Monday. Everything starts on a Monday, and it's Monday now.
We got it. All right, guys. And don't forget, every Thursday, an email comes out with us kind of explaining a little bit more about what's going on from our coffee chat. And every Saturday, our blog post comes out. And if you didn't know we had a blog, we do. It's sassyevolution.com. Go take a look at it. We every single week, we have a blog post up there about what we talk about in
And it's been going on for like months, so there's a lot of stuff on there.
Yes, yes. All right, guys. Have a fantastic Monday wherever you are, whatever you're doing. And we'll talk to you again next Monday. Bye.